Faith Fraser was born into heartbreak. Claire carried her while trapped in a time of war, torn between two worlds, and surrounded by dangers that no mother should endure. When Faith came too early, her tiny body never had a chance. Claire nearly died that night. Jamie was locked in the Bastille, unaware that his first child had drawn breath and lost it in the same hour. The world moved on, but something inside Claire never truly healed. Faith was named and wrapped in a white shroud by a kind nun, then buried quietly while Claire lay fevered in grief. When she recovered, no one around her spoke of the baby. Even Jamie, when reunited with Claire, carried his own guilt in silence. They chose to protect each other from the pain by never opening that wound again. But the silence left questions. Who would Faith have been if she had lived? Would she have had Jamie's wild heart or Claire's fierce mind? The series never showed Claire mourning openly. There were moments. A glance when Brianna was born. A pause when she saw another infant. A shadow that crossed her eyes. But nothing more. For the viewers, this loss became a haunting presence. It shaped Claire's strength, yet remained unseen. Fans wondered if the writers had chosen to let Faith's story end in that dim Paris room, or if they were saving her for something more powerful. Over the seasons, Outlander explored time travel, ancestral echoes, and the strange pull of bloodlines across centuries. We watched Brianna meet her father through time, and Roger discover his own blood ties to the past. Each time the story showed the deep threads that bind family beyond death or distance. And each time Faith's absence grew heavier, like an unanswered question waiting at the edge of the firelight. Now, with Season 8 carrying the title Blood of My Blood, that silence feels different. It feels like a door about to open. The phrase speaks of kinship, heritage, and the bond between generations. It could simply refer to Jamie's loyalty to his family, or it could mean something far more intimate, something about Faith, something that has been waiting since Paris. Faith was never just a name in a dusty record. She was a heartbeat that lived under Claire's ribs, a secret hope she carried through battlefields and whispers of rebellion. When Claire first felt her move, it was like the world paused for a moment. Amid the chaos of Paris, where every day felt like borrowed time, Faith was her anchor. She spoke to her while stitching wounds and hiding secrets, promising that one day they would return to Scotland and show her the hills her father loved. But Paris was unkind. Stress wrapped around Claire like chains, and each night her body grew weaker. The day of Faith's birth came too early. The room was dark and hushed, the air heavy with fear. Claire's cries faded into silence as the life she fought to protect slipped away before her eyes. She held Faith only once, still and cold, and the world broke around her. That night carved a hollow space in Claire that nothing could fill. Afterward, silence became her shield. The nuns buried Faith gently, and the city moved on as if she had never existed. Claire walked out of that hospital carrying invisible weight. She smiled when Brianna was born years later, but behind that smile was the memory of another little girl who never opened her eyes. Jamie rarely spoke of Faith, but sometimes his gaze would linger on children in the streets, and his jaw would tighten. It was grief wrapped in pride, sorrow hidden in strength. This unspoken sorrow shaped Claire in ways no one saw. It made her fierce when saving lives, and fearless when standing between death and those she loved. Yet every triumph carried an echo of what she could not save. Faith became a shadow at the edge of Claire's story, never shown but always there. Fans noticed the small cracks, the way Claire flinched when someone mentioned lost children, or how her voice softened when speaking of what-ifs. These moments were like whispers from a forgotten life. And still, the show never gave us closure. Faith was left in the past, unmarked by the swirl of time travel and miracles that filled every other storyline. This silence became its own mystery. Why would a story so full of fate and second chances leave the first Fraser child behind? Why would they let her remain only a ghost? That question has followed Claire, Jamie, and the audience alike. And now, with Season 8 promising to explore the blood that binds them all, the ghost in Claire's heart might finally step into the light. The title Blood of My Blood does not sound like just another chapter in the Fraser saga. It feels like a whisper from the past, an oath spoken between hearts that never stopped beating for each other. When the show revealed this as part of Season 8, it sent waves through the fandom. The phrase carries the weight of legacy, the pull of family, and the unbreakable threads that stretch across lifetimes. It is the kind of title that promises revelations, not just reunions. Throughout Outlander, blood has always meant more than survival. It has meant belonging. Jaime has spoken those words in Gaelic vows, promising protection and loyalty that would outlive him. Claire has risked her own blood for the sake of others again and again, proving that family is not only who you are born to, but also who you fight for. Every major twist in this story has been wrapped around bloodlines, from Brianna crossing time to find her father to Roger learning he carried Mackenzie blood without knowing it. Blood in Outlander is never just blood. It is destiny. That is why this title stands out. It feels like an invitation to look deeper into what has been forgotten. If the writers wanted to explore the weight of family bonds, they could have chosen any name, but they chose this one. It hints at something deeply personal to Jaime and Claire, something buried but not gone. It hints at Faith. Her blood was theirs. She was their first link, the first proof of their love, and her absence has always been the silent gap in their family line. Imagine if Blood of My Blood is not about a new child or a distant ancestor, but about reclaiming one who was lost. It could be the moment Claire finally speaks Faith's name out loud, the moment Jaime lets the grief he locked away rise to the surface. It could be a storyline where they are forced to face what was taken from them and what it cost them to keep going. This arc could tie Faith's memory into the larger tapestry of time travel, healing, and ancestral echoes that Outlander has always embraced, and the clues are starting to line up. Rumors hint at flashbacks, at visions of younger days in Paris, and at scenes that blur the line between memory and reality. It would be the perfect way to bring Faith's spirit back into the story, not as a ghost, but as a reminder that love leaves a mark even when life does not last. If Blood of My Blood truly carries her essence, then Season 8 might give the Frasers something they never had before, the chance to say goodbye, or maybe even something more powerful, the chance to say hello at last. Faith may have never walked the earth, yet her shadow has quietly moved through the Outlander story like a soft current under the surface. If you look closely, the books and series have left delicate traces of her, almost as if Diana Gabaldon herself planted tiny echoes for those who dared to look back. They are not loud or obvious, but they are there, like threads of gold hidden in dark cloth. One of the earliest signs came long after Paris. In later seasons, Claire shows a habit of pausing whenever she delivers a baby or cradles a newborn. The scene shifts to soft lighting, her voice lowers, and her eyes go distant for just a breath. These moments are never explained, yet they carry the weight of something unspoken. It is as if Faith's memory flickers there, like a candle behind frosted glass. Fans have long suspected these pauses were not accidental, but a quiet nod from the writers, a reminder that Claire never stopped being Faith's mother. The books offer even sharper clues. In Voyager, when Claire and Jaime reunite, there is a brief line where Claire reflects on the children they never had together. The word children stands out, plural, not singular, even though she has only Brianna at that point. It slips by quickly, but readers who know Faith feel it like a secret whisper. Later, Gabaldon has Claire describe dreams of holding a child she cannot name. Some readers believe this is Faith trying to reach her through the thin veil of time. Outlander has always treated time like a living thread, and perhaps that thread still holds the shape of Faith. There are also the visions. When Jaime lies near death after Culloden, he sees people he loves standing around him, some living, some gone. One small figure is described only as a golden-haired child who does not speak. It is never explained, never named, and the scene moves on. But fans who know what was lost saw more in that silence. Jaime has never seen Faith, yet the soul might still recognize its own blood. That fleeting vision could have been her, reaching for her father for the first and only time. Even the title of Season 8 whispers her name if you listen closely. Blood of My Blood echoes an older Gaelic blessing Jaime once spoke. "You are blood of my blood, bone of my bone." He said it to Claire. He said it to Brianna. He has never said it to Faith. What if this arc gives him the chance to finally speak those words to the child he never held? That kind of moment would not just be emotional. It would be seismic for the story. It would close a circle that has been left open since Paris. And Outlander has never left a circle open without reason. These clues may seem small alone, but together they form a quiet map. A map that points back to the child the Frasers lost, and forward to a season that promises revelations of blood, lineage, and love that outlives death. If Faith is coming back in any form, memory, vision, echo, or even name, then the writers have been laying her path for years. And now, it might finally lead home. If Outlander chooses to confront the silence around Faith, it will not be done lightly. This series has never handed out miracles for shock value. Every return from the past has come with sacrifice, and every answer has carried a price. So if Season 8 dares to bring Faith back into the light, it will be because her story has become too heavy to leave in the dark. And there are many haunting ways the show could do it. One path could be through visions born of grief and healing. Claire has seen the veil between life and death blur before. In the stones at Craig-na-Dun, in the moments when she almost died. Season 8 could place her in another moment like that. A moment where her mind fractures from pain or fever, and Faith steps through the mist of memory, not as a ghost, but as the little girl she might have been. This would not rewrite history or break time. It would simply let Claire hold her child in the only place she still can, in her dreams. It would be soft, brief, and devastatingly beautiful. Another path could be through ancestral echoes. Outlander has shown again and again how blood carries more than names. It carries souls, instincts, and voices that hum across centuries. Brianna might see a glimpse of a child in her dreams, or their granddaughter could be born with Faith's eyes. The show could hint that pieces of Faith lived on, passed down quietly through the family line. It would not erase her death, but would show that her spirit never truly left them. This kind of echo fits the show's tone. Mystical yet grounded, tragic yet hopeful. A bolder choice could be revisiting Paris through time travel. Season 8 could send Claire or even Brianna back to the hospital where Faith was born. Time travel in Outlander has never been clean or easy. It always costs something. But if the writers wanted to create a truly unforgettable arc, they could have Claire confront her past directly. Imagine Claire standing in the shadows, watching her younger self fight to save Faith, knowing she cannot change it, yet needing to see her. This would bring catharsis not by undoing the loss, but by letting Claire finally say goodbye. It would be raw, painful, and unforgettable. And there is one final path, through remembrance, made real. Sometimes the most powerful resurrection is not physical. It is emotional. Jamie and Claire could finally speak of Faith out loud, tell Brianna about her, name her place in their family. They could visit her grave, or plant something in her memory on Frasers Ridge. Outlander has always honored its dead. Letting the Frasers honor Faith would give her story an ending, not by changing what happened, but by refusing to let her be forgotten. Any of these paths would shake the world the Frasers have built, but all of them would give weight to a truth this family has always lived by. Love does not end when life does. It lingers, it waits, and maybe after 8 long seasons, it is time for Faith's love to be felt again. If Faith's memory rises again in Season 8, it will not just change the story. It will change the people who carry her absence like an old scar. For Claire, Faith was the wound she buried under layers of duty and courage. Bringing that loss back into the light would tear those layers open. It would hurt. But it would also let her breathe in a way she has not in years. Imagine Claire finally saying her daughter's name aloud, not as a secret, but as a truth. Her voice would shake not from weakness but from release. She has delivered countless babies, held countless lives in her hands, yet she never had the chance to hold her own child's story. Giving her that moment would let her be whole again, even if it breaks her first. For Jamie, the impact would be quieter but just as deep. He never saw Faith, he never heard her cry, All he knew was that while he was trapped in a cell, his first child lived and died without him. He buried that grief under pride, battle scars, and years of silence. To speak of her now would mean facing the pain he locked away so Claire could survive. Jamie is a man who carries guilt like armor, and shedding that armor would leave him raw. Yet if he could stand with Claire and say Faith's name, if he could whisper that she was loved though she never drew breath, it would heal something inside him that has been broken since Paris. Brianna's heart would feel it too. She never knew she had an older sister, yet knowing Faith existed would change how she sees her place in the family. It would not lessen her bond with her parents, but it would deepen it. She would understand that their love for her was shaped by the child they lost, that she was not their first miracle, but their second chance. That truth could shake her, but it would also root her more firmly in their story. It would give her a sense of the legacy she carries, a legacy that began before she was born. Even the wider family would feel the ripple. Roger would see new strength in Brianna as she absorbs this hidden history. Young Ian, who has known his own share of loss, would quietly honor Faith as part of the clan he loves. And the ridge itself, the home that has seen birth, death, and every shade of life in between, would stand as witness if the Frasers choose to speak her name at last. It would be a moment not of sorrow but of completion, like closing a door that has stood open for too long. Faith's story has always been a missing heartbeat in the rhythm of the Fraser family. Bringing her back, even in memory, would make that rhythm whole again. It would not erase their pain. It would not rewrite their past. But it would give their love a shape, one that includes every life that touched it, even the one that never had time to grow. That is the power this moment could hold. Not spectacle, not shock, just truth and peace. The story of Faith has always been a quiet echo behind the thunder of the Fraser saga. While wars raged, lovers reunited, and centuries folded like pages, her name stayed locked away. Yet the heart of Outlander has always been about more than battles or time travel. It has been about love that refuses to fade. And love never leaves quietly. It waits, it lingers, it calls. Season 8, with its haunting title, Blood of My Blood, could be the moment when that call is finally answered. If the writers are daring enough to open this door, they will be asking Jamie and Claire, and all of us, to walk into the darkest corner of their past. They will be asking them to face the one life they could not save. That choice would shake the ground beneath them. It would crack open grief they buried to survive. And yet, it might also be the key to healing wounds they never let themselves touch. Imagine Claire whispering Faith's name under the Highland stars, while Jamie stands beside her, silent but trembling. Imagine Brianna listening, eyes wide, as she learns she had a sister she never met. Imagine the air going still on Fraser's Ridge as the family plants something small and living to mark a life that was too brief to bloom. That kind of scene would not be loud or flashy. It would be quiet, sacred, the kind of moment that stays with you long after the screen goes dark. If this is what Blood of My Blood is truly about, then Season 8 will not just close a storyline, it will complete a circle. It will show that even the smallest life can shape generations. It will prove that love, once given, never disappears. It endures across miles, across centuries, across death itself. Faith may have been silent all these years, but her story has been waiting. And now, it may finally be time for her voice to be heard. So watch closely. Every frame, every word, every shadow might carry her return. Because if Faith walks back into the light, Outlander will never be the same again. If you believe the truth about Faith is coming, stay with us. Like this video, share your theories in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the moment the Frasers' lost heartbeat comes home.